Today we're starting to patch some of the thru-hulls that we're not going to be using. And so right here I've got a thru-hull that's prepped. This is I think that's about an inch, maybe an inch and an eighth, something like that. And I have some little plugs I made on our CNC mill machine. These little guys out of fiberglass, so it's many layers of fiberglass. And these guys are going to sit right in here. And then once they're resined in, then we'll be doing a grind out around this to bring that down to a thinner layer, and then we'll build it back up with glass to make it a nice sturdy repair that we can count on.
I'm Jerry.
I'm Sean, and this is our not currently sailing catamaran, Rome. We've taken on a huge refit involving every system on the boat, turning her into exactly what we want.
Let's jump back into the episode to see what project we're tackling this time.
All right, start with, we got to make sure I've got the right disc because I've got 3 different sizes. Make sure I got the right one. I like that one. And we're going to start off by painting just a little bit of resin in this. I wish I had a little smaller brush. Then we need peanut butter. If you know what this stuff is, it's a West Systems. That color indicates it's got 407 filler in it, and it has a little 407, but it's mostly high density. I ran out of high density, so I had to add a little bit of the 407 in there to just get the consistency. And we want it to spooge out when we stick it in there. So I'm going to roll it around, try and make sure we get it nice and coated. And I'm not concerned about this being flush because it's all going to get ground down. A sanding day. And we got a new sander today. It's a little fest tool, a RO90DX-FEQ. It's a lot of damn letters. Basically, it's a very small headed sander that has 3 functions, but it can be random orbital, it can be spinny, or it can be just vibration. And so today, I am working on one of our patches, and I'll be grinding this in. I've got some 40 grit on here, and the idea is to take this high area down and then take all of this down toward the middle to give us a nice sloped area that we can then patch in with fiberglass and rebuild on this side for the patch. Okay, I got my PPE on, which is just a dust respirator. We've got a vacuum attached to this guy, and I've got some Tolkien in my ears listening to a book today. So let's see how this goes. Well, that did make very quick work of the high spot. All right, well, that didn't take too long. I've got a good bit out of there. I think that's what I'm after. Let's bring the camera for a little ride here. Show you what we're talking about. So you can see I've got a good bit of daylight underneath the straight edge here. And so that'll get filled with glass and resin. And then we'll get a patch there, and we'll get some cover over it and make it pretty. And that'll be that. We started working on the hulls some time ago, and this was an outside repair on the port stern at the engine room. This is where we had a thru-hull, just a drain for the brine water from the water maker. Since we're not putting the water maker here, I decided it would make sense to patch this. So it's been ground down, and I've had the tape on. I'm going to pull the tape today, and we're going to clean it up, put the patch in, and use the vacuum bagging process to put this back together and make it whole again. This tape has been on maybe a little longer than I would like. We've been sidetracked with any number of other projects that had to be done, and weather got in the way, and well, you know how this goes. But today's the day. All right, our good friend, a little acetone. Give this a little wash. Make sure I don't have any contaminants in here for that fresh glass. And make sure that around the edge, it's plenty clean for the vacuum bag tape. We know about where things are. Let's see how the vacuum bag is going to rest. so I can get the tape on the boat, and then when we're ready, we can get the vacuum bag on the tape after the glass is in place. This looks pretty good to me. A little bit of the tape here. There are lots of videos on YouTube about how to do vacuum bagging and setting up for this. I'm not doing anything that's magical or new. You can see this in a number of places. One thing I will share in just a few minutes here is how I get the film to make a good seal on the tape, because that is difficult, and I figured out a technique that works pretty well for me to get a really solid seal after the fact, because a lot of times you get a little bit of a roll in the film and it creates a little air gap, and you don't want that. All right, we have a nice patch made. Place this where it belongs. It's a really good fit. You can see that it is very nearly perfectly flush, which is what we're looking for. And roll it in. I'm going to make sure there are no big air bubbles under it, but it isn't going to matter, because once I put this vacuum bag on, any air that's under that is going to get pulled right out. All right, now we'll apply the nylon peel ply. This makes it nice and smooth so that we don't have any really rough surfaces to deal with after it's finished curing. So I have this absorbent material. This is like it reminds me of polyester quilt fill material. Something you'd use to, make a quilt. That's going to go over the top of this to absorb any resin that comes through. And then I have a tongue on the end, which is where the fitting goes for the vacuum pump, so that we're not vacuuming directly on this, we're vacuuming on the side. So let's get the paper off the tape. And we can start getting this vacuum bag material to place. Now I'm going to start with just getting the top where I want it, about like that. Then, since I need 9 hands for this show, I put this guy in place. I start getting this sealed down. Now, if you look at this, you see there are lots of wrinkles and creases, and that's definitely going to let air in. And we're going to go through and get rid of those in just a few minutes using a really cool technique I figured out. All right. I'm going to connect up the hose. You see the hose is connected to the fitting. Follow the hose down to the resin catch can right here, which has no vacuum on it at the moment. We have our big vacuum pump. So I'll turn this guy on. You see that gauge takes off right away, heads toward negative pressure, but I don't have that open to the bag yet. Right now we're just creating a vacuum on the can. Now I will open that guy, and we can see it is starting to create a vacuum up here, but not enough. I'll open it the rest of the way, and now we can see that is making a good vacuum. So now, how do I deal with all of this crap? Well, the nice thing about this is it's all a little stretchy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work it back and forth and stretch the film over the tape. The tape is very flexible and gooey, And by doing that, I'm able to eliminate the little wrinkles. And that means I get a tighter suction without any air loss or vacuum loss. And you can see how tight this is. This is really firm. It's exactly what we're looking for. This thing, it is locked to the side of the boat. It's like it's built in. That's really what we're after. Now we'll just leave that for a while, let it do its thing. And we can see that we're getting some resin into the absorbent material here, which is what I'd expect. Peel ply is all pulled down tight. There's no chance for there to be any air in here at all. So that way we get a really good patch, really strong structurally, and then we'll end up putting fairing compound and gel coat back over this. And if I do it right, you'll never know it was there. Hey, we waited till it cooled off and the sun went down, and now we're under the boat. Hand me that thing. And so we're gonna do this in the near dark. The downside is we're, well, you know, nearly being eaten alive by the bugs. They're just absolutely atrocious. We got to put patches on the bottom of the boat, and we couldn't do it during the day because it was too hot and the resin was kicking unbelievably fast. It sure is nice to not have to worry about this kicking fast because it's hot. It would sure be nice if I didn't have to deal with the bugs quite so much. Choices. It's always choices. This is the best seal we've had on the vacuum bag yet. I'm really pleased with it. We're drawing down a really solid vacuum. We got some extra resin, which is great. I'm happy to have some extra resin in this, so I know I've got a good wet layup. So the glass is going to be completely saturated, but the vacuum bag is going to get all the extra out, and we're going to have a really high quality, extremely strong repair that matches the hull and keeps us safe.
Well, for the most part, I have successfully managed to get Shawn to do all of the grinding of the fiberglass to fill through holes that we're not going to use anymore until today. I'm going to put on all of my gear and see if I can quickly get the grinding done in here, because I don't want to begin there any longer than necessary.
Go.
Okay, we have waited till dark, near dark. It's pretty freaking dark because it was so hot today. So we did not do any resin work. We're gonna resin some pieces for the inside of the boat for the patches we made on the outside. We're starting with the port forepeak. So I've got 5 pumps of epoxy and I'm gonna goop these up and Jerry's gonna put them in place.
Right, because
I don't,
it's too small a hole for Shawn to fit in the hole.
I don't freaking fit in the hole. So this side goes down, and this is the larger of the two.
Okay, thank you.
This side up. Last time I was here, we were putting some fresh fiberglass down, and today we are clearing peel ply and opening these things up so we can start the next process. A little bit of sanding, some fairing, a little more sanding, and then some paint. A little closer, a little closer, a little closer to being done with the fiberglass repairs.
We are really pushing to try and get all of our fiberglass repairs done. Like, done.
All the stuff in the holes, we're trying to get them done. And
Yeah.
we've made great progress. We've got glass laid up, and we're ready to start fairing. Fair sand, fair sand, fair sand.
All of our fairing is on, which means we can't do anything else with that today. Yeah, nothing left for me to do here. But wait, I hate waiting.
That's very comforting, but I'm afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting.
I am so happy to say that we are on to the final steps. But for now, we are going to leave this here. We've gotten to the part where we can do a final sanding, some primer and some bottom paint. But as often happens with boat work, we have some other things that are taking a much higher priority right now. So with that in mind, in the next episode, and I hope you'll join us for it, barring any crazy emergencies, which can happen, as you know, we are ready to reinstall our bowsprit on the crossbeam. And oh my gosh, we are beyond excited for that. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you made it to the very end, leave us a surprise emoji down in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button. All of these things, the likes, the comments, and the subscriptions, help encourage YouTube to push us out to a wider audience. We'll see you next time. Bye.